It is exactly 9:40 a.m. Once again, gives me great pleasure to be talking with Dr. Oscar van Heerden, and we are going to be talking about, once again, the seesaw between the US and Iran. And we know whom we can blame for that. Dr. Oscar van Heerden is an international relations expert and is here to talk to us once again about the evolving phase of this conflict, the US and Iran conflict. We understand that military tensions remain high even as diplomatic efforts continue behind the scenes. The central theme is that Iran has warned it will respond forcefully to any new US or Israeli military action, while Washington says it is willing to delay further strikes to give diplomacy a chance. And of course, we have heard that before, have we not? And just as we sit back and relax, then we hear about new strikes on Iran. Good morning, Dr. Oscar van Heerden. Welcome to the program. Lovely to be talking with you once again.
Good morning, Julian. Good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Okay, I've given lengthy introduction. Would you like to respond to that, please?
Yeah, look, I mean, we are unfortunately going in circles with regards to this illegal war of choice by the Americans and the Israelis. They had initially thought that it would be a quick and simple intervention, something akin to what happened in Venezuela and other parts of the world. And unfortunately, this was not to be. They are finding themselves now in a situation where they have to accept strategic defeat. They have not realized their war objectives of regime change and so forth in Iran. And now the emphasis has come on to the closing and opening of the Strait of Hormuz, because global markets, the oil market, gas markets are all being negatively impacted because of this illegal war. There was a memorandum of understanding which was signed by the Americans and the Iranians. Everyone thought that that would mean that they will now engage in meaningful negotiations and talks. Unfortunately, the Americans had other plans, always the deceiving party, always the lying party. And they then renewed attacks on Iran once they had now replenished some of their ammunitions and arsenal. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, with the bombings, the Iranians are not moving an inch. And now we are back to where America has literally depleted most of their ammunitions, their Tomahawk missiles and so forth, and is now again beginning to whisper the words like negotiations, ceasefire, and so forth. And of course, the Iranians have had just about enough. And the Iranians are saying, we are not ready to talk. We are going to defend ourselves. And out of sheer frustration on the part of Donald Trump and spitefulness, he then decides to bomb and attack civilian infrastructure, bridges, energy installations, and so forth. And Iran responded in kind, attacked certain infrastructure facilities of the Gulf states, those that are enabling these attacks to take place on the part of the Americans, as well as military installations as far afield as Jordan and so forth. And so Trump realized that if he's now going to continue targeting these civilian infrastructure, which is war crimes, Iran made it very clear. In that case, they are going to hit hard on infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, in particular, the desalination plants within the GCC states. And it is that then brought the GCC states together in an emergency conversation. And the Saudi Arabian prince made a phone call to Donald Trump and said, halt, stop. If you do this, you will send GCC states back to the Stone Age, because they are wholly reliant on their desalination plants for fresh water in those desert Arab states. And so Trump, instead of wanting to acknowledge that he got that phone call, he still wants to be the big player. He still wants to be the big boss. And so he says he has decided to stop. He has decided to give diplomacy a chance. But the truth of the matter is, it was the GCC states that said, please halt, because
Enough is
Iran
enough.
will have irreparable harm.
Okay, we're going through an ad break. When we come back, 3 very important questions that we need answers or background, and obviously how this will impact or not regarding this current situation in the Middle East. Please stay with us.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Albeit Lodge, your true home away from home. Albeit is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Albeit has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albeitlodge.co.za.
Tonight, a child in a shack will try to sleep through the cold. No heating, no insulation, just thin walls and a biting cold. African Muslims Agency is on the ground, reaching families in informal settlements across South Africa with blankets and winter essentials. Help us spread warmth this winter. For 180 Rand, give a blanket. For 360 Rand, a full winter pack. One gift, one less night in the cold. Africa Muslims Agency. Empowering, educating, inspiring.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back, 9:49. We are talking with international relations expert Dr. Oscar van Heerden. We're talking about the war in the Middle East. You've mentioned a few key issues there, the intervention by the Saudi ruler or MBJ, and also, pardon, of course, that would mean disruption of oil supplies, but also there's been concerns raised that if Iran and, if the United States and Israel don't agree on a ceasefire, there could possibly be a war in that region, an all-scale war in that region. Is that a possibility if there isn't a ceasefire sooner rather than later?
No, absolutely, Julie. That's always a possibility. You know that there is. Donald Trump finds himself in an escalation trap. He has to escalate. And the latest, as I said before we went on the break, the latest escalation is to attack civilian infrastructure out of sheer desperation. The next step would be, if he is silly enough, is to put boots on the ground, to actually put American servicemen and women on the ground to have a ground invasion and go and hunt for that, what he calls the nuclear dust, and so on. That would be an utter disaster by all accounts. All pundits, all analysts, military specialists, etc., are all indicating that if Donald Trump puts boots on the ground, it will be a slaughter. It will be an absolute mayhem. So, short of that, he can, of course, opt for a nuclear weapon. You know, I find it so strange, Julie, that people talk of tactical nuclear weapons as if, you know, to set off a smaller device is any more less murderous than an actual atomic bomb. But that is another option that is open to the Americans and to the Israelis. Remember, the Israelis also have an undeclared stockpile of nuclear warheads and weapons. But I don't think it will get to that point. However, there is still some options of escalation, which is going to be devastating to the global market. You would recall, besides the Iranian situation, the Houthis in Yemen, Houthis, I should say, in Yemen, are also now involved in skirmishes with Saudi Arabia. They've decided to close the Red Sea. So both choke points are now being closed for the free flow of oil and gas. And this is already going to culminate in a global crisis, financial crisis. They are trying to ward it off by playing with the markets, Donald Trump, but it's not going to hold, unfortunately. So unless cooler heads prevail and Israel and the Americans accept defeat and acquiesce to the demands of Iran, we are going to potentially see an escalation.
I hope not. Initially, you made reference to the Venezuelan situation, and we know that the intent there was regime change. That was the initial ideas as well regarding regime change within Iran. That was, I should imagine, number one on their list of what they'd wanted for in Iran. They wanted total control by putting in one of their stooges there, like Reza Pahlavi, who has been seen rubbing shoulders with American, I guess, top government officials in the United States. Do you think that that is now done and dusted, that isn't even on the minds of the Americans and the Israelis?
And absolutely. I mean, you know, it's the same, Julie, it's the same situation that we have in Russia, where all people can hope for and wish for when you interact with some people is that, you know, the Russian economy is on the brink of collapse. Putin is going to lose power. People are going to rise up against his regime, his government. This is the same wish list that people have with Iran. That any moment now there's going to be an uprising from people, the mullahs are going to fall, and so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is that it's simply not happening. And the more you bomb Iran and Iranian people who are dying in large numbers, the more they are more resolved in supporting their government and having hatred towards those that are bombing them. So the strategy is not working. Trump needs to accept this. The people around him needs to accept this, because, as I say, if they don't, then we are going to see a full-blown war already now. Ukraine is trying to opportunistically also get involved and make it a broader conflict by having attacked an Iranian vessel in the Caspian Sea. So, you know, for all intents and purposes, Trump is at a crossroads. He needs to accept strategic defeat, and he needs to bring an end to this for the sake of the global market. But given his vanity, given his narcissistic behavior, I'm not sure if we are going to see that kind of leadership coming from the White House.
So, what was the Ukrainians' agenda by having, attacked that vessel the Iranian vessel that is? What do you suppose? Is it getting trying to kind of almost suck up to Donald Trump and get more support because he's been walking around to the begging bowl from the time Russia attacked Ukraine. So he has been walking around the begging bowl to Trump all of the time, and even to the European countries as well. Is that the agenda there for him? Why would he do, he's at war with Russia. Why would he then attack an Iranian vessel?
Yeah, it's sheer desperation, Julie. It's sheer desperation. Zelensky and the Ukrainian armed forces is in a desperate situation. They are losing on the front line. Russia is steadily moving ahead. They have no answer to these barrage of missile attacks from Russia every day into Kiev, Donetsk region, Zaporozhia, etc. And because he is so desperate with that begging bowl, he made a calculated move that if he can attack this Iranian vessel, he is sending a message to Trump and to the Europeans that we shouldn't see these two conflicts as mutually exclusive. We can combine it. And the Ukrainian leader and the Ukrainian government, can be that proxy to actually facilitate this war and the war objectives, which is, as I said earlier, to crush the Russian Federation and Putin, and to crush the Iranian government and Mustafa. So he's trying to say, let's combine this, and by doing so, he's hoping that he can get better support, he can get more money, he can get more missiles, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately for Zelensky, the Iranians as well as the Russians can read through this. They can see the game plan here, and they're just not falling for it.
Okay, there won't be any repercussions on Zelensky for having attacked that Iranian vessel.
Iran did indicate that there is going to be repercussions that he needs to answer. There will be a response. I'm not sure what form that response will take, but I think the Iranians have demonstrated that they are strategically very savvy, militarily very savvy, and they will make a calculation as to how they appropriately respond to the Zelensky government, because they also know, Julie, that if they overreact and want to now fire missiles or launch an attack on Zelensky, it will give credence to the strategy that Zelensky is trying to have. And so sometimes if by withholding and keeping quiet and trying diplomatic measures in terms of the UN and so forth, that would be a better option to deal with Zelensky and frustrate his strategy.
Okay, so they won't be baited, and you are right. That's very, very smart, a smart move on their part. Let's wrap up. I've just got a minute to wrap up time. What can we expect in the next few days regarding the conflict in the Middle East, in Iran?
I think that emissaries from all over, Pakistanis, Saudis, the Qataris, the Omanis, everyone, including America, is going to be sending delegations upon delegations and phone calls to Tehran to plead and say, please come to the negotiating table, please find settlement to this. And that's precisely the position Iran wants to be in, because then Iran is going to say, okay, we will come, but we are not going to be fooled yet again and be killed and attacked. These are our conditions. If it's not met, we will not be at the negotiating table. That's the only way forward.
Dr. Oscar van Heerden, always a pleasure talking with you. Love your deep insights. Go well. Take care till the next time. All the best.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Exactly 10 o'clock, and let's wrap up today's show by words of wisdom, none other than words of wisdom by Hafiz Imran Chunara, who is a personal excellence mentor and CEO of Africa Muslims Agency. And the Fired Up series today, he talks about current behavior is the best predictor of future outcomes.